Hello there, my name is Evelyn Care. I want to ask you a question. Have you ever struggled with weight? Many people out there, and especially in this day and age, struggle with weight loss. Now, I want to give you a solution. Or better yet, I want to tell you how I lost over 15 kilos. I used to weigh 85 kilos, and now I weigh 68 kilos. How did that miracle happen? Here is how. Now, I want to give you 5 clear steps that you will be able to follow. But before I give you the 5 clear steps, I want to tell you 2 things. Number 1, this will take commitment. You need to commit yourself. Losing weight is easy, but yet is not easy. Because any change requires effort. In order to be able to change your life, you need to decide to take that step. And in order to take this step, you need to force yourself to make yourself like the change that you're looking to achieve. That brings me to my first step. Now, step number 1 is it all begins in the mind. Now, you'll ask me how. I will tell you. Any change that a human being wants to effect, it starts with thought. Now, what do you think about weight loss? Do you think it is achievable? Do you think it is a goal you can be able to achieve, you as you are right now? Have you ever tried it? Are you bogged down by the myths that it is not possible? How many times have you failed? And therefore, what is the state of your mind right now? Are you in the mind of belief that the goal you're willing to begin to achieve is achievable? That is just the first step. Now, once you're able to convince yourself and you're clear in your mind that this is what you want, that is when the struggle begins to lose weight. Now, I have a belief that has carried me through the process, and I think it will carry you through the same process. Nothing happens unless you make it happen. That is belief number 1. Now, belief number 2 is, if it ain't fun, you won't do it. That is just the truth of the matter. Now, are you willing to take those 2 beliefs, set them straight in your head, because it all begins in the mind. Convince yourself that it is something you're able to achieve. Set a goal. For example, how many months are you giving yourself to lose? Let's begin with the least amount of kilos, 2 kilos. If you can lose 2 kilos in a month, what would you need to do to lose those 2 kilos? Do you believe that losing 2 kilos in a month is achievable? Because if you do, you will be able to lose 3 in the process without realizing it. That's the secret I discovered. That once you set your mind to eat, you are able to convince your body to work towards it. It is achievable. Now, I hope you're halfway through the process of beginning with belief. You need to believe that the goal you're setting out to is achievable. Now, that is only in your mind. Now we have the obstacles from without to fight, because definitely the obstacles will be there. I went through the same obstacles. Everybody who struggles with weight goes through the same issues. Peer pressure, discouragement from friends, discouragement from people who are also struggling to lose weight. Sometimes you look for partners to exercise with, you look for a friend to be able to encourage you, but all they give you is discouragement. Now you have to realize that this is a battle you set yourself to achieve, and you have to go against the grain. You have to fight for your dream. It's the only way it's going to be possible. Now, once you decide to fight for your dream and you set your mind towards achieving that goal, which for starters, if you set yourself to achieve 2 kilos per month and you're willing to lose 10 kilos, so how many months will those take? 5. Now, the higher the goal, the harder the struggle, the harder you're able to push yourself. And the harder you push yourself, the easier it is to achieve the goal. But at the same time, you don't want to lose focus, because as I said, if it ain't fun, you will not do it. Okay? Now, that brings me to my second point, which is usually the hardest. Because once you've managed to convince your mind that this is a goal you're set to do, then it comes to hard work. And that is when, if your mind is not set, the hard work will be able to undo what you've been able to convince your mind to do. So you have to really work towards it. Now, the second step, which is usually the hardest, is exercise. Now, you realize I'm not beginning with food, because the main reason why we got to overweight from the first go is overeating, even though we don't never like to admit it. I never wanted to admit that I was overeating. Well, partly because it is not a good habit, but it happened. It happened, and I didn't watch over it. And now that I was in the process, I caught myself in the act, I realized I needed to acknowledge the fact that I overate. Because if you don't acknowledge in your mind that these are the reasons that got you to where you are right now, we're back to square one. And that is why I began with the first step. It begins in the mind. Now, once the mind is convinced that this is a goal you have to achieve, and that the reason why you got there, number one, is overweight, overeating, and number two is lack of exercise. Now, I'm beginning with exercise because it is usually the hardest to achieve, but it is not as hard as not eating your favorite food. That's the hardest goal, and I'm sure you agree with me with that. Now, once you have convinced your mind, then exercise becomes easy at first. Why do I say at first? Because, as you know, at the beginning you have enthusiasm. In the middle, the enthusiasm will not be there. You will need to fight. You will need to get your energy from deep down within you. You will need to get it from the very, very, very depths of your soul to be able to continue with the exercise, especially when the muscles begin to ache. But you will need to keep up, because you have convinced your mind that this is a goal that is possible. And we have the goal to lose 2 kilos every month. Now, what kind of exercises can you start with? For example, I started with walking, because walking is easy. Walking can be done without money. All you need is to set time and to be able to overcome the fear of peer pressure. Your friends will look at you walking on the road. For those who can jog, go ahead. It's a faster way to lose weight. But if you haven't gotten there yet, begin with walking. Time yourself. Don't just walk. Time yourself. And each day, you have to be able to ensure that you exceed the time limit for the previous day. So if you take a walk for 30 minutes every single day, that's already progress towards your goal. Now, with 30 minutes of walking every day, you also need other exercises. Stretch. Now, for those who can afford the gym, it's a worthwhile venture. I never went to the gym because partly I did not have the money. But not only because of that, because I realized that there are cheaper ways of losing weight. And anyway, it was expensive gaining weight. Why do I want to spend more to lose it? Just encouraging you, by the way. Now, once you set your goal to lose weight and you've started these exercises, you're walking 30 minutes every single day, your mind, you're convincing it every single day that you wake up, every single day that you start your walk, you're repeating the aspiration to be able to achieve 2 kilos every month. 2 kilos every month. That's your goal. So you keep repeating to yourself every single day so that your mind never forgets the goal. Because the minute the mind forgets the goal, the body will start weakening, the body will start going back on the exercises, and you will not be able to achieve your goal. Now, to add on to the 30 minutes everyday walk, you need to do a few stretches, or at least if you can make it to a gym, well and good. If not, do so simple exercises. For example, you could get an aerobic tape. That's what I got because I realized it's an easy. I just pump up the videos and boom, I'm on. No money, just time and electricity, which is all I had anyway. Now, you combine at least more than 20 minutes of aerobics Whenever you can be able to do 1 hour of aerobics, well and good. Once a week, that would be ideal. But during the rest of the days, at least you are able to do 20 minutes of aerobics and 30 minutes walk. Then, now, another advice on the exercise is that you may realize that because of work or because of the surrounding or because of the things you will need to do, your walk will be more or less on the same route. Now, what makes the walk different is you will be able to time yourself so that each time you walk the same distance, you use less time. That will tell you you're making progress, and you will notice it through sweating, because each time you will be able to sweat more. Now, once you realize that each time you're exceeding the time and you're sweating less, it means your body is getting used to the walk, and therefore you will need to increase or change the side you're walking in. Like, for example, you could look out to hike a mountain once in a while, or go to a very, very tough road, or go uphill and downhill several times. Make time for it. It's up to you. Once you've convinced your mind that this is a goal you would want to lose, take it. What helps is, if you love music, you can take a walk listening to music, or listening to an inspirational podcast or a book, that is audio, and you put in your ears with earphones and you go along the walk. That way the music will be motivational, or if it is a book, something very encouraging and motivational, it will give you morale to be able to persevere throughout the walk. That will give you stamina to be able to get through your goal. And that's not it, because at the end of every walk, you will feel so much better. That feeling of after exercise will give you an impulse to be able to want to do more exercise. Now, the key thing here is control, because after exercise, you usually want to continue doing more exercise. And every time you begin exercises, you always feel like not wanting to do exercise. Well, that's part of human nature. Sorry, can't be helped. But you have to learn to control your human body, to be able to control yourself. Tell yourself that, okay, I'm beginning my exercise at this time. And yes, you're beginning at that time. It will be difficult for the first few minutes, but it's only those few minutes. Once you get on with it, you even forget you didn't want to do it. You want to do it more. Okay? Human nature for you. That's how it is. Now, once you've completed goal number 1, which is setting your mind straight, giving it the right frame of mind to be able to begin your goal, which is to lose weight, then your exercise is in progress. We come to the hardest part of the game. Like I said, eating. Eating right. That means eating the right portions, eating the right kind of food. For example, your plate should be balanced. I'll use the placement of a clock. Now you take your plate like a clock. Now your starch should be a fistful, like this. This is the amount of starch that you should be able to eat. And it always appears at the top. That is the 12 o'clock hand of the clock. Then both sides, that's the 9 o'clock and the 3 o'clock, should have vegetables. And then the 6 o'clock side of the clock, that is around your plate, should be your protein, which should be the same amount as the starch. Now, you realize you're eating more veggies than starches. Why? Because carbohydrates are what add more weight. Calories, sugar, glucose is what adds up to more weight. And of course, when you come to protein, fats and a lot of protein add you a lot of weight. I know there are different programs out there where they tell you to eat a lot more protein, and that will be able to make your body exercise in terms of digesting the protein, and it will also increase the rate at which you lose weight. I do not disapprove of such methods. They work, but they take a longer time. And of course, they indulge you in your protein. We love proteins. Who doesn't? Only vegetarians, for that matter. Yeah. But for the rest of mankind, who wouldn't want a piece of meat any time of day? Don't count me there. Now, once you've been able to know the portions that you're supposed to have in your meals, is to ensure that you have them in every meal. Now, a piece of advice. You would much rather have less at dinner and eat more during breakfast and lunch. Why? Because your body is active during the morning part of the day. That's when you wake up, you exercise, you go to work, you're working throughout the day, you eat lunch, then you continue working, and then when you come back in the evening, it's the light jobs that you're doing, even though maybe you might walk back from work, which would be exercising the lunch that you ate. Then you will be able to take down the slow of activity. So your dinner is preparing you to go to bed. Another piece of advice is eat early dinner. The earlier the better. 6, 7, latest 8 o'clock. Why? Because your digestion will have already taken place. And as you go to bed, you will be going to bed with nutrients already distributed to the parts of the body. And that means that if you do a little work between 6 and 7, if you've eaten at 6, then you'd have made use of the nutrients, and therefore you will not go to bed with a lot of food in the stomach, which would add to the nutrients, because once they're digested and they are not going to be used for work, the body stores them. It's true you might say that, okay, I'm going to use the same energy the following day, but remember, you will wake up hungry and you will eat a nice breakfast. You will even be tempted to indulge a little more, because again, the human mind and the human body is, the more you give it, the more it wants. That's another rule to watch out for. So don't listen to your body, listen to your mind. That's why we started with, it begins with the mind. If you listen to your body, you will lose the way, definitely. Now, I hope I've given you very sound advice on the 3 points, because they're the 3 key points. Now, what happens on point number 4? After you have worked with your mind, it is in the right set, and it is controlling your body in terms of what you're eating and how you're exercising. Number 4, you repeat the same process back to the mind by setting new goals. Because by the time you're reaching point number 3, you've exercised for, let's say, the first month. You go to the weighing machine and you weigh. Have you achieved your 2 kilos? If yes, you give yourself a pat in the back, which is always a good thing. Now, once you give yourself a pat in the back, you will be able to set a new goal. Congratulate yourself and set a new goal. Begin again from step number 1. Set a new goal. So if you were walking for half an hour and you were walking a shorter distance, you increase the distance so that you use the same time to cover a much larger distance. If distance is a problem in the sense that you would not be able to have space to walk the same distance, then you increase the minutes in aerobic workout. Yeah, what am I saying? For example, if you are walking for half an hour, you can keep walking for half an hour and then exercise with the aerobic tips for 1 hour every single day. So you're working for 1.5 hours. Now, if you were not able to reach for the 20 minutes aerobics, then it means you set the target at 20 minutes aerobic. And if you were not able to walk for 15 minutes, let's say you were walking for 15 minutes, you extend the 15 minutes to half an hour and put a distance. So if you were walking a shorter distance, you either walk twice the same distance because the time has been doubled as well. Or if you were walking for 15 minutes, then you reduce the minutes to 5 and you keep the distance the same. That way, you are increasing the metabolic rate and the muscle activity that you will be able to exercise as you walk. You will walk faster to be able to exercise the muscles a little more. And of course, since the time is reduced, you will be able to exert more on the muscles in order to be able to achieve your goal. Now, you might just discover that if you do this, you will even achieve your goal faster. But don't be happy yet, because usually what happens in the graph of losing and adding weight is that the first few months you lose weight easily. as first of all you've not been used to doing exercises, so your body is excited. It's excited, it works very hard, loses weight easily. Then it reaches the midpoint where the body stagnates. Why? Because your body is getting used to this exercises. So that's why I advise change of exercise. Or if it's the same tips and the same distance you're walking, shorten the time and increase the pace. Even the aerobic tips, you increase the time and you increase the pace so that you're working at a faster rate. You're able to exert yourself a little more. That will help you lose more kilos. And of course, the goal will go on same 3 steps repetitively until you're able to achieve your goal. Now, step number 4 is repeat step 1, 2, 3 again and again, setting new goals and beating them up. Now, you will realize by this time that you've lost quite a number of weight, quite a number of kilos, and your metabolic rate will be improved. But don't be happy yet. You need to keep the struggle. The last step is usually the best. Now, step 5, motivation, which means you have to be able to congratulate yourself, celebrate your victories. The only way you will be able to repeat step 1, 2, 3, 4 yet again is when you're happy with the goals achieved. And when you're not happy with the goals achieved, it means you have to set newer goals or repeat the same goals and convince your mind a little more this time around. Yeah? Psych yourself up. Put the enthusiasm into the picture because you need to psych yourself up. Losing weight is upon you and you need to do it. And as I said from the very beginning, if it ain't fun, you will not do it. So as you set yourself to achieve the goal of losing weight, I want to tell you that I am with you. Of course, I'm still continuing with the weight fight because it is not over yet. I want to keep my weight. I have lost quite a good number of weight. The clothes I wanted to wear, I am wearing them as it now. I am happy. I have achieved my goal, but I need to maintain it because what happens is once you start slackening, you start gaining weight yet again. So the reason we are following this process is so that we can lay a foundation of habits and be able to make them part of our character. And that way, it will be easier to maintain them as a lifestyle. That way, you don't need to keep watch on your weight because you're always fit and healthy. It becomes part of your lifestyle. And you'll be amazed at what you can do. All I ask you is begin. That is usually the hardest step in anything, to begin. Okay, so I want to wish you all the best. Of course, you can always reach out and ask for any advice that you would need in terms of losing weight. If you need a partner in terms of exercise, we could work out a plan. I could also be able to send you videos or aerobic tips that you will be able to use, or check out my website, which will be at the end of this video, so that you can be able to see the struggle I had is the struggle you have, and we will struggle together. All the best. Bye bye.